humanity exists beyond the limitations put there by other people and their poor behavior. We have seen over the last 24 hours after the murder of George Floyd, and I am comfortable in calling it that for a couple of reasons. One, I am in no way in any possession of any forensic evidence or any inside information beyond the video that we've all seen. And therefore, my opinion on this is strictly that. If I say I think he's a murderer, that's from my opinion and my just my using my own eyes. I'm willing to be made wrong on all sorts of things if you show me evidence to the contrary. But I'm going to believe my eyes when they serve me well, and especially around the video I saw yesterday of George Floyd that he had posted that was basically like anti-gang. Like he was trying to make the point that that like gang behavior was a bad path for all these, like the young black guys in his neighborhood and that he knew from school and all this kind of stuff. Like he specifically spoke on that, and it makes it extra sad that this becomes sort of representative of his life in this circumstance. It is it's an issue we will no doubt be dealing with for days. There will also be a possibility of like the secondary backlash that may come from the possibility that he that whatever the police findings end up being, whatever the judge finding ends up being, all those kind of things. I mean, we've been through this with Rodney King. We've been through this with other people, and it's sad when we have to experience it again and again and again. There is an added part, though, to it in this circumstance where we have what seem to be what I would call agent provocateurs, but are really thank you, Joyce, and hi, and welcome everybody in the chat room as well. 773-763-9278 is our number. We'll be talking about, obviously, a good portion of this, but we're also going to be talking about what the president, I believe, was using it as cover for. This president has often used chaos as a cover for a harsher truth that he would rather not get out, as a way of dissembling. Usually when people dissemble, where they scatter lies or use a gish gallop to get some sort of false information out or hide lies in a pile of other lies, so that if you get busy debunking one particular lie, it is assumed by the listener and the people around, that's how a gish gallop works, that the other lies you mentioned were true. You're only pushing back against one or two of them, so the other stuff must have been right. That's how they operate. Okay, so a gish gallop, or the act of dissembling, and Hal Vickery in our chat mentions like one of the things he might be covering for is the over 100,000 number, and that there is no question that what is going on has brushed that off the front page for the time being. So we have a circumstance where this president is in the tyranny of options, insofar as how much he has to draw from to cover a couple of uncomfortable facts that are directly related to not only this election coming up and the bad numbers that he has, but the numbers that he had from last time that are shrinking. And those are, of course, the number of COVID dead and his insistence on opening the country and his insistence that the economy will magically come back instantly from this and there won't be a second round and we basically dealt with it and that's all in the rearview mirror, which is completely untrue. We will be at 110,000 dead by the end of next week. We were all talking about the speed by which 100,000 came up on us, at this rate, we will reach 200,000 by the beginning of August. The numbers that they initially showed that were on the low end, if we full mitigated, which we did for a good 60 days, but we are no longer doing.
Yeah. And the results are instant.
Yeah, right. The the 2-week lag makes it very difficult for a good section of the populace to gather that the ramifications of their behavior. Again, I've said COVID is like a truncated Cliff Notes version of the AIDS crisis. The delay by which symptoms showed up and the delay by the inability for people to tell who was infected and who wasn't had a major impact on whether or not people took it seriously. So that said, I want to play for you. We'll wait at the top of the next break in the next segment. I'm going to play for you the statement by the mayor of Atlanta, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and she's a female mayor. She's black. Her chief of police is a woman who is white. The insistence that these folks somehow don't care about what's happening in their city or spend any amount of time ignoring the population of Atlanta or that segment of Georgia, which interacts with Atlanta a lot, which is the untold story of a lot of urban centers in what are otherwise rural states. Her statement on that, or people's insistence that they somehow don't understand, her response to that is very impressive and beautiful. And the Atlanta police chief put out a statement yesterday. It is simply impressive. So I want to play that to give some indication of how mayors are reacting to this kind of stuff and which mayors are having the biggest impact on them. Because here's the thing that I was warning about yesterday and my biggest concern. I don't know if, Johnny, do you know the story of Helter Skelter? Do you know why that the Charles Manson idea that he was talking about?
Yeah, of when he convinced all of his little druggy hippie white people to go kill. I don't even think they killed the right people, but he said to scrawl racist slurs on the walls.
Right.
It was like "Die Whitey" or something like that.
Yeah, and
to make people think, because he wanted to start a race war.
That's right. So for everybody who thinks that Charles Manson was this masterful intellectual and psychological genius who was impressive in his ability to dissect both people and circumstances to his own benefit, I would like to remind you that he had a basic following of about 15 people that dwindled down to 8. He lost the girls in Heart, by the way. Ann and Nancy Wilson were in the Manson family, and he couldn't get them to stick around. So
but they got a hell of a song out of it.
Loser, right? Exactly. So, and it's one of the reasons my disdain for Charles Manson and his followers is one of the reasons why I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood so much. But Charles Manson, let me explain something to you. Charles Manson was manipulating people that were a good portion of the time completely whacked out of their brains on psychedelics, who were in the process of basically opening their own heads with a can opener and letting him pour whatever he wanted to in. This was not somebody who could, he wasn't a street hypnotist who could walk up and, oh my God, this guy, he made a guy rob a bank and the guy didn't even remember it, like some 1930s, mystery or episode of The Shadow. Yes, Christina, check it out. It's a good piece of detail about Ann and Nancy Wilson. But this is he got the idea for Helter Skelter and the name for it because he listened to the Beatles' White Album. He got his idea for a race war because the Beatles put an album out where the cover was completely white. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is paint by numbers garbage. This guy was so insanely high on drugs that the White Album was like, white people need to control the whole world. Like that's where he got the idea. And he got the name from the wackiest lyric name on, or song title on the album. So
And the song is about like a playground toy.
It's about
It's
people.
about the
Yes.
the crazy slide or something.
That's right. But it's also just about like the running wild of children. But what Charlie took from it was White Album, white race, helter skelter. Let's make everybody crazy. Like, it was not a big, like, I read the codes. This was QAnon garbage circa 1968, right? So that plan has grown up. And we'll talk about that after we come back. It's time for a break. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio in Chicago. WCPT820.com. I appreciate you for listening, spending your time with us every Saturday. We'll be back right after this break. We are also live streaming at infotainmentwars.com, just to irritate Alex Jones. Me and his pancreas have a lot in common. We're both trying to irritate him. We'll be back. Thank you, say what? Thank you, say what? Say what? Yeah. Yeah, if you want to support the show, patreon.com/HalSparks, or paypal.me/HalSparks. You can help out that way. If you're in the chat, that's great. We see you all the time. If you're just watching the show, some people just watch it or listen to it like a podcast. If you want to support it, but you're not in the chat, and you can't do it that way, paypal.me/HalSparks, or go to Patreon and become a patron. It's a cup of coffee a month. If you can't do it because everything's scary and you don't know where your economic future lies, then by all means don't. But if you can, do it for the people who can't. That'll help. That's a good way to do it. And thank you, Natalie. And thank you, say what? And oh my God, DC2257. Bless you. Love to Hal and the chat gang. That's just fantastic. Bless you. Hold on. I'm opening this up so I can see you guys. Thank you, Brian Harmeyer, also. Holy smokes. Lisa Mia Moore, thank you so much. Good to see you again. And thanks everybody who contributed to the Cam Birthday Fund. He enjoyed the Minecraft Legos that you guys got him, because that was the gift. It was
back in 60, Hal.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And I don't doubt we're going to have calls or whatever. I'm very reticent to take some of them, so we're going to have to, because I don't doubt. My concern about agent provocateurs does not end at the streets. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So beware of crap stirrers. So
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I bet you are.
I already got one with Doris today. We're good.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Yeah. I'm sure they were looking for, trouble in that regard. So thank you for the pear-shaped character, Rebecca. That's awesome. Governor turned down Thug 45 for bringing the military. Of course, he did it diplomatically. You have to, otherwise he'll shut off federal funding to the states, and he won't be successful in doing it, but he'll delay it. It's the Ukraine thing done towards the states. That's what this is. P.S. We have the Flynn transcripts.
Huh. First I've heard of that.
See that? See that? See that?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Where is this? It's so bright. I can't. All right, I got to darken my own screen just so it shows up. Let's see. Yeah, document cloud. That's a little better. There you go. There it is. Flynn documents. Yeah. It reflects on the surface too much. But yeah. This is what he's trying to cover, and it won't work because it's gonna, Dr. Fauci gave rip shout out to Larry of AIDS. Ideas.
Hmm?
I was gonna call for the happy ending. You can do that. Yes, we will talk about SpaceX while I'm on the screen with you guys. My entire family is gathered watching the prep and launch for SpaceX. So
Was it pushed to
I would be
today?
with you, but for this show, and so that means you know I love you. So smash that like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe.
Sporto.
Sporto.
I hear footsteps. Oh, yeah, somebody's running to the bathroom.
Sporto.
All right. I'm getting skipped frames because my computer's so hot. It's too hot lady.
Too
Yeah.
hot to handle.
Hit the thumbs up, folks, and give the show a shout out while we're on the air. That also helps. If you can contribute one way, the other way to do it is to send out a link on your social medias, your Facebook, your Twitter, your minds.com, your yeah. The SpaceX suits are pretty cool. I will say though, for being so futuristic, it looks like they're trying to prove the '60s right. I mean, you look at the rocket and you look at the actual gear they're wearing, it doesn't look all that different from like other than the bulb helmets that they used to wear on in space shows. Which everybody was like, "What do you need the back to be clear?" Which,
Yeah.
by the way, I think is a design thing. Do we have Chicago? Or we? Yeah, they're fine. Okay. How long are we in break? I didn't hear anything. But we'll see. It's new gear, so fingers crossed. I don't hear you, Chicago, if the new gear is any indication.
Yes.
So we shall see. It just seemed like a longer break. Johnny, does it seem like a longer break to you?
Yeah, he said 60 and then
Oh, I can't
nothing.
hear you either. That's what it is.
Oh.
Why can't I hear you? What is happening? That's the tough part. I see. At least my audio is going to Chicago. That's the important part. Oh. Hold on. Is my monitoring stuff acting weird? Is that what's happening? Yep, apparently. My headphones go out. Nope. All right. I don't know what's up. Something's weird.
Yeah.
Of course I've got a woke up. Do you hear CPT,
No.
Johnny? Nope. Okay. I do not either. So Chicago, give me 1 second. I don't know what the heck is happening. Do I need to reboot? Did I disappear? Did the whole show disappear? Is that what's happening? I don't know what's happening. They hear you, Johnny, but I don't. So that's fun.
Oh boy.
Chicago, I don't hear you, but it's not your fault. I don't think. There's like a huge delay. I think my computer is catching fire. I think it's literally burning up. I've been diverting heat into my fingers again to just keep it running. That's just how it works. Good
Oh,
times.
Devin just
Can
sent a
you hear me,
message.
Johnny?
Let's see what
I gotta figure out.
Oh, now I
why
can.
can't hear you. It's weird. Let me do this real quick. Everything's moving very slowly.
Yeah, Devin, we can't hear you.
Get out of here. Oops. There we go. Chicago, I think we should be back, but I don't hear you. So I'm going to operate as if, starting in 30 seconds, something like that. Huh. Freezing, but not really. Yeah, there's some internet issues going on, I think. I think it's fighting internet stuff. That might be it. So, okay. In the process, though, let's see.
All right, so can you hear me, Hal?
Okay, Chicago. Here's the thing. Let's just operate as if we're gonna roll for the next 5. I can't see that.
Oh,
It's
you
all
can't see it.
blurry.
Is it backwards?
So we'll just roll. Thank you, Jill Carter. Thank you for
He's going to break.
Sexy Liberal Funds. We'll be back. Let's take another minute of break real quick, and then we'll come back right after that Chicago so I can fix, what I'm hearing and not hearing. So that might be the issue. So give me a second. Super weird. There we go. I think we're having Devin went to break. Excellent. Thank you. I should hope.
But you can't hear me?
Yeah. Because we were jabbering.
You can't hear me? Blah, blah, blah.
Escape. I cannot hear you right now, so I'm fixing it. And I think it might be an internet lag. Hey, everybody, we're back. I'm just going to operate as if we're back because we got a show to do, and that's okay. There's plenty going on to talk about. I'm going to see if you guys can. I think you can hear this, so I'm going to play the audio of Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms talking about and to the protesters in Atlanta. And her words are quite simply extraordinary and necessary in this time. Let's see if I can get this to play properly either. Everything wants to be laggy and slow today. Here we go. Let's see. Nope. It's on CNN's Twitter feed, Devin, if you want to pull that up. It's Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. The quote is, "This is chaos. A protest has a purpose." That click of it, then we'll be able to bring that up or whatever while I'm switching through stuff while I've cooked my computer. Okay, so I'm as I lighten the load on my system, we shall find what we shall find. So Johnny Million, say hello so I can hear you.
Check 1 2.
Nope,
check 1
can't hear
2.
you. So that's me. That's on my end. I will switch to something else real quick. See if I can solve this. There you go, Johnny. Say something to me.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Hi, Hal. Check 1 2.
Super weird. All right, we'll figure it out. But if we, I think what we all learn from the riots that are actually happening in my computer right now. I think a white supremacist provocateur threw a Molotov cocktail into my computer right now, and that's what's making the sound all wonky. But what she essentially said was, this is chaos. A protest has purpose. When Dr. King was assassinated, we didn't do this to our city. If you want to change in America, go and register to vote. The idea that she, as a black woman and a black mother of 2 sons, would have some sort of relaxed feeling about this and go, well, we don't really care how it went down. By the way, in an entirely different city, that in and of itself is absurd. But you will hear that repeated multiple times. You will hear people talking about that cops, quote unquote, don't listen to people, that mayors don't, that whatever. And that kind of blanket generalization helps to ratchet up the problem. That makes it worse. Okay, we're at the mid break, so we're gonna take a break. We'll be back right after this. Hopefully, we'll solve all our issues during the break, and we'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hal, can you hear me at all?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, you can. I found the video he wants. If you want to, can he hear you at all, or is it just Hal kind of
No.
rambling to himself?
No, how can you hear me and he can't?
And you can hear me and he can't.
I can
That's
just
really
see,
weird.
like, suspect that I'm
going to tell him over the
computer off.
screen, Devin
Button
and
shouldn't have touched. Hello.
can
Thank you, Hal Vickery.
hear each other.
So I will solve that while we're going on. Devin and I can hear each other. Excellent. Yeah, you should be routed through. It's not a problem. I just can't hear you on my end, and I'm not sure what the hell's going on. So, and everything's the same as it always is. So maybe it's this. Maybe I'll restart these headphones. Maybe it's as simple as that. Sometimes. Can you say something, Johnny?
Check 1 2.
No,
check
see,
1 2.
I see the audio. I just can't hear it. It's super weird. Something's wonky, and I get spinning beach ball nearly everywhere I go. So that's the tough part. But since you guys can hear me, oh my gosh, Thank you, Jill Carter. And thank you, Christina F. Thank you for the technical issues fund. I appreciate that. And thanks to all our patrons, too, because eventually we'll have someone else having to run this part of the show, so I don't have to do it while I'm also talking. Yeah, I'm external microphone port. That's good. Output. We'll switch to these.
Hope to the children
I don't know if that'll do it.
and adults whose lives are forever changed by a word they'd never
I have
heard
no check
before.
audio, so unless
Please help
Johnny's talking nonstop, I can't tell.
Ma ma ma
Any
ma
issues.
ma.
Yeah, so that's
Ma.
blah 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 blah
Blah blah blah.
blah
Blah blah blah
Oh
blah.
wait,
Floobity boo boo boo.
hold
Floobity
on,
boop.
hold the phone.
Boop boop boop. Ah.
That's weird.
Rawr.
Okay.
Woof. Meow. Meow 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 woof. Meow woof. Meow. Meow.
Okay.
Meow.
It's a
Of
mystery.
the forest all around us. Frogs singing and owls calling and the creek running nearby.
Hal, can you hear me at all right now?
For me, Johnny. Is that coming back music?
Hey,
Or is that
check
just
1 2. Check 1
Chicago
2.
music?
It's trying to describe it,
I'm the
but
one who can't hear
I'll
anything.
definitely
This is
never
a
forget it.
mystery to me. I just don't know.
Johnny, if you want to let Hal know we're about to come back in like 10 seconds, maybe.
Okay.
We try another longer break.
Such a strange thing. What is happening? Okay, so hold on.
I think his headphones are broken.
This is my last chance to throw it
too.
into total chaos.
I'll just play all your songs, Johnny, for the next till Hal fixes this.
Well, I mean, we can get him to talk. You want me to just tell him to talk now?
Yeah, tell him to talk right now.
And we're back. Hey, it's Hal Sparks on the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Now we're in mime. This is it. This is the whole show is just Johnny Million miming. Everybody can hear him. I can't. We'll figure that out part. It's a ton of extra things. There's literally a riot going on just in the show. And here's my warning. This is the one thing I wanted to deal with on the show today to kind of start off all this, and why if we can text me or otherwise, or tell Johnny Million if we can find the Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms quote on CNN's Twitter feed. They isolated that. If Devin wants to pull that up for us and let me know, that'd be great. The issue I have is I find this a ton of often when I see people talking about we need to go back to the way things were. I would argue that there is a group of Republicans who think we should go back to the 50s, libertarians who somehow think we should go back to the Wild West, and there's some like anarchist crowds, those folks, who seem to think we need to go back to like the pre-Christian era or something. And thank you. We'll play that clip in just a minute, probably after the break. But I want to address this. We hear this coming up a lot. This is why I'm not pro-Antifa, for example. I am not for masked people in the streets using violence and throwing Molotov cocktails in some sort of odd attempt to get them to get people's attention to a particular issue. Is because I don't know how seriously to take you. I don't know how honest you are. I don't know if that issue is truly yours. I don't know if, in the end, when that issue gets answered, if you will be satisfied and become a member of the new grown society that has added that extra need or met that need, or if you will find another chaos point to try and crowbar and make the holes in society bigger, which will always exist, especially in a large, complex society like America. We have so many different communities and societies within our own society that it is easy for chaos agents to mess with it. If you have a uniform society or an authoritarian system set up, then you don't have to really worry about that, because the tyrannical overlords will just step on anybody who you know, messes with the system at all. In our society, though, where we pride ourselves on freedom and listening to people and the plurality of voices coming together in a democracy to create a unifying set of ethics and standards, that people who don't want to participate in that part have multiple opportunities all the time to drive a wedge in between. And all societies faced this. There is a reason why we all live in a society where we eventually got to people having social security numbers and people living in houses with addresses, and why there are zip codes, and why there are postal codes, and you know, why there are stop signs, and why police officers wear uniforms except in rare situations where they serve a specific purpose against criminals who figured out that all police have to wear uniforms after they all started wearing uniforms, to deal with those folks who went, oh, we could just break the law because we just look out for the uniform and then we just carry out our stuff whenever they're not around. That's great. You know, highly complex societies, and living in a socially dense group of humans, which did not exist 300 years ago, much less 500 years ago, much less 1,000 years ago. So it is crucial, ladies and gentlemen, it is crucial for you to recognize that in any situation where your sense of righteous indignation or horror at something that is legitimately concerning, where any of that part, you know, where you see something of, you know, a video like the George Floyd video, or where you see stuff that is cut and manipulated to look as cut and dry as the George Floyd video, there is a chance that your genuine empathy and your genuine concern will be weaponized against the very cause that you support. And Stephanie in our chat room says, black folks getting blamed for the destruction done by the provocateurs. That is exactly what I am talking about. That is exactly the problem with Antifa, and that is exactly the problem with any other mass protest that turns violent. Marches are one thing, but once the violence starts, you are now wide open to anyone taking advantage of your, and hear me on this, your genuine caring about this issue and your genuine concern about the people who may be affected or killed by this in the future, by rogue cops or institutional racism or any of that stuff. That very concern, which is legitimate, hear me, that is legitimate, can be weaponized very easily by people who not only don't care about it, and you know, the crowd that wants there to be just a generalized point of chaos because they're anti-authority, and that's the entire issue, but by people who actively are working against you. And it only took a couple of years for people to figure out that a thing like Helter Skelter would be easy to pull off if you just had semi-organized groups on social media getting together and going, okay, you guys go here, and we'll use code words that make people think we care. We'll create a name that we like for ourselves, and we'll talk in chat rooms, or we'll talk on Reddits. We'll do half a sentence on Reddit and half a sentence on Twitter and half a sentence on here, and then you guys will know what the hashtag is. As soon as this hashtag shows up from people who actually care, our hashtag will go up that's related, and we'll just act on it. That is precisely why armies started wearing uniforms at one point in history. Because at some point, somebody went, how many of our own did we kill this time? We need to know who's us and who's them. And then there were some folks who go, oh, they all wear uniforms so they know who they are. We should wear uniforms so we know who we are. Oh, we found a guy with his uniform. We should take his uniform off and wear it, and they'll think you're them, and you can kill some of theirs. And that's how spy work was built. This is what happens as societies grow and push against each other. And there are bad actors in the world and vicious people who want to, accomplish things. And as good people decide, hey, we need to kill some of these bad guys, but we don't want to kill our own in the process. And we certainly don't want to kill any of theirs that aren't with them. So only kill the Nazis. Don't kill anybody else who's just standing around in plain clothes. Let's try to keep that to a minimum. That's why societies grow into this kind of thing. And the lesson to be learned from this is that as you structure society, there are people who do not like the structure of your society. And in terms of, I will work on that, Can't Stop Lying, in just a moment. In terms of the situation we're in right now, we have been placating and elevating Antifa and recognizing, the legitimate concerns of some of the folks at Occupy Wall Street when that happened, that there became a new norm of people doing masked protests, throwing stuff in the street as a standard fare. There's basically an Antifa uniform now. Black face scarf, black t-shirt, backpack, gloves, bottle of water, extra rags and supplies in case you get tear gassed, and bags of your own urine or whatever in a separate baggie, all that kind of stuff. This is it. It's an industry. Antifa became a business. And as soon as it became a business, people who want to get in on that business or take advantage of that business also showed up. The minute checks were invented, check forgers showed up as well. The minute paper money was used instead of trading chickens, people came up with a way to forge money. And so to pretend that those opportunists don't exist allows for a situation where your actual caring, your actual empathy, your actual concern over an issue will be weaponized against you, will be harnessed by someone else that doesn't care. And worse, in this situation, which I believe is happening in Minneapolis and is happening in Atlanta and some of these other places, they're not only people who don't care, who are just there for the chaos. There are a lot of people there who are there because they're against the rights and safety of black people. And they are there to ratchet up the violence so that there's an excuse, shots get fired, then shots come back. And as soon as that starts, it ratchets up and you can just kill a bunch of the people. By the time the shooting starts, these folks have bugged out already. They know what they're doing in this regard. And this must be factored in going forward into every circumstance where we find ourselves with a riot or a protest on our hands now. Because of social media, that reach is not only possible, it is now probable. So that is my concern. So when you see these riots and you see people throwing stuff and you see people going, there are going to be tons of people on the right, the Stephen Millers of the world, going, black people are violent and look, they destroy their own neighborhoods and all that kind of stuff. Understand that there are those among them that are not on their side, intentionally ratcheting this stuff up, burning down black-owned businesses that are underinsured, while everybody's staring at the target that's on fire, which will be rebuilt with a whole new setup because Target is covered. As a giant corporation, they're going to be fine. But the black-owned businesses in those areas will have an incredible time coming back. They will be decimated. And that's the goal of some of these people. This is why you tamp down violence. This is why you don't allow it to grow. This is why, there's this incredible balance going on right now between mayors who are sympathetic to people who are really outraged at what happened to George Floyd and everyone else like him, and worried that it will continue, which is really what all these are about. They're worried that it won't stop. Those genuine people who have genuine reasons to be, to be listened to, and why they're enraged, right? But unfortunately, in this mix, there are people who will take advantage of this with the intent of effectively burning down black-owned businesses and decimating those neighborhoods. And this is why peaceful protests are hard work. This is why peaceful protests are as meaningful as they are. And this is also why those rednecks that show up on county courthouse steps with their, long guns, this is also why they're as concerning as they are. Because they are sidestepping this whole part and threatening people with guns. This is a threat of violence from the very start. These are the folks, by the way, that you're going to be finding mixed in. So we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. I rode that break over, but we had extra time in this. And when I'm able to get my audio set up together, we will. I want to talk about the Flynn transcripts, because that's, I believe, what Trump's ratcheting up of the violence is about, to distract from the number of dead from the coronavirus, and to distract from the fact that the Flynn transcripts show that there was absolutely a reason for Mueller and the FBI to be concerned about the contacts. And wait till I read you the first paragraph out of these transcripts. I mean, case, set, match. We're done once you read that part of it. We'll be back right after this. Right, I'm going to... Yes, it does. Yes, it does, Johnny. And I'm going to do a hard reset